Hello there, I'm Natalie Morehouse and I'm the Head of Humanities at King's Academy Ringmer. I am directly responsible for History, RE, PSHE and Careers, and I also oversee the Geography Department. I'd like to welcome you to the History Department. So you may be thinking, what's the point of history? Everyone in it is dead. Well, I always answer that question by saying that everyone is interested in some aspect of history, whether it's your favourite football club or you're a film star or your own family. And it's fun to study. It also helps us make sense of the world we live in. Who are we? Where did the people who live in Britain come from? And how have they shaped our modern society? How did the power transfer from the kings to the people? How can you use the rights that our ancestors fought for? And perhaps most importantly, how can you use evidence to find out the truth? How can you spot if you're being lied to? Fake news is just a modern way of saying that a source is biased, and we can train you to spot it. This slide is about our GCSE results. As you can see, history is a very popular subject with students across the ability range, and over 75% of each cohort take it as a GCSE option. We're proud that all students do very well at what is, after all, a respected academic subject, which requires you to be fairly literate. Once you've been through GCSE history, you will definitely know how to write an essay. I should point out that in 2018, 34%, a third of the cohort, got a grade 7 or above, which put us in the top 15% of schools nationally. As you can see from this slide, the Key Stage 3 curriculum is arranged chronologically, but it also asks some important questions. Who had the power in 1066, and how did it gradually get transferred through society? How did working people get the vote, and how did women campaign peacefully and non-peacefully for their rights? How did the slave trade and the acquisition of an empire lead to fantastic wealth for some people, but also a diverse and interesting society in Britain? How does democracy work, and how can it be destroyed? Many of the topics studied at Key Stage 3 give a foundation for GCSE history, but are comprehensive enough to give students who are not going to take the subject on after Year 9 a good working knowledge of the history of their country. At Key Stage 4, we study EdXL GCSE history. Our thematic study is Medicine Through Time, with a special focus on illness and surgery on the British sector of the Western Front in the Great War. For our British period study, we look at the Anglo-Saxons and the Normans. We are in 1066 country after all. Our world study is the Cold War between 1941 and 91, and our depth study is Weimar and Nazi Germany. So the special emphasis on medicine in the Great War means that the famous Ringmer trip to Ypres is very popular with Year 9 students. We leave school at 5 in the morning and travel through the tunnel, through France and then into Belgium, returning to the UK that evening. We visit the excellent museum at Passchendaele, which includes a life-size trench system, as well as several Commonwealth war grave cemeteries. The students seen here have just seen the grave of 15-year-old Valentine Strudwick, who was killed on active service despite having been 3 years underage. Every year we ask students to bring with them details of their family members who might have been killed or injured in Ypres, and we always find someone's grave, including a memorial in Ypres town centre to my own great-grandfather. Last but not least is a stop to the famous Leonides chocolate shop in Ypres town centre. And then in Year 11 we take students to Berlin. This trip covers 4 days. This helps them with 2 of their papers at GCSE, Weimar and Nazi Germany and the Cold War. You can see here the gates to the Sachsenhausen concentration camp with the infamous slogan, Arbeit macht frei, work makes you free. The grey blocks are the Holocaust Memorial near the Brandenburg Gate, which is a very moving place to visit. The group photo at the bottom shows Mr. Gibson and me with the students in front of the Berlin Wall. And last but not least, this photo shows Year 7 students performing a medieval mummers play in their lesson at Christmas. Mummers plays were performed in pubs all across England before people had anything better to do. You can see Father Christmas, a sort of dragon, St George lying on the floor, and various other bizarre characters, all of whom appear in our genuine, honest, medieval play. It tells us a lot about the very dodgy ideas some English people had about the world then. I look forward to seeing you all next year when you too could be the star of our mummers play.
Hello, I'm Miss Morehouse. I'm the head of Humanities at King's Academy Ringmer, and that means I'm in charge of history, RE and PSHE, and I also oversee geography, and I'm here with some students to talk about what that's like.
Okay guys, thanks very much for coming. So we'll start with history. What are you doing in history at the moment? Gia, start us off.
We're learning about the British Empire and trying to work out if it was either a good thing or a bad thing, and then about how the East India Company migrated to India.
So we're looking at India. So what do you think at the moment? Is good or bad? Both.
It's different.
It depends who you are, really. Yeah. Okay. So in history, there's a lot of this, isn't there? There's not a right answer. It's just what do you think and
Your
what
opinion,
evidence and your opinion. So is there a lot of kind of discussing and arguing?
Yes.
Friendly arguments.
Friendly arguing. Yes. Discussions. And can you remember back in Year 7 what kind of things you were doing in Year 7, Rosie? Can you remember what you did in Year 7?
Doing things like 1066 and the Battle of Hastings and other things.
Yeah, what about the Black Death? Remember the Black Death?
Yes.
I think we've just gone in, oh no, that was you in Year 8, weren't you, in lockdown? So the Black Death, yeah, it's a long time ago. So what about Year 8? What Year 8?
We did
slave trade.
Yeah, slave trade. So it's obviously very linked to the Empire, isn't it, as well? Okay, so history is quite good fun, and I've got good news about GCSE history because we're going to do the Northern Conquest again, so you've already learned something. And also you're thinking about your options this year, so thinking about whether to do history or geography.